Looks like it's going to be a great day today. Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the legendary Madvillainy by Madvillain. Of course, this is going to be another classic review, and this time I'm talking about the 2004 album, which is only 13 years ago, but somehow this has become one of the most celebrated hip-hop albums of all time. Madvillainy is the collaboration album between the infamous MF Doom and also the legendary producer Madlib. And together they've crafted some of the most jazziest and smoothest hip-hop ever made. On this album you will hear just incredible loops and forward-thinking samples from Madlib, who just was like on this album the samples and beats are just never ending. Like each track just has a completely different beat and sample to it, but yet it still sticks to the same format of the previous tracks. So what I mean is that there are no tracks on this album that feel completely out of place, but yet they will have a completely unique sample and sound to them from track to track. And let's be honest, there isn't anyone out there like Madlib that could do anything like this and pull it off and create something so concise. And then of course we have MF Doom with his off-kilter flow, just flowing through these tracks, so buttery and it's so like smooth, but yet his rapping is kind of offbeat, which is something that he's become known for, but yet it somehow works perfectly. He's one of the most creative rappers ever, and just this combination of him and Madlib is perfection, really. And sometimes it's really difficult to decipher what MF Doom is even talking about on some songs. He's kind of like Billy Woods, who of course is like a more of a modern rapper, but in the same way that you kind of listen to their rapping and it's like, what are they even singing about or rapping about, but yet you want to read into it more and more and try and unfold what's going on. But what I love about MF Doom is that on numerous tracks he certifies himself as one of the greatest rappers ever. He's self-proclaiming this, but it's like you can't even argue with it because of the way he raps and the way he rhymes. Like on a track like Figaro, which is a track where MF Doom is pretty much just flowing through the track, and it sounds like he's just going for miles and miles and miles, just seamlessly just rapping, and the speed he's doing it is really impressive too. And of course there are rappers that can spit faster than MF Doom, but they probably can't say anything as intellectual as MF Doom ever could. Of course, it's important to talk about how MF Doom is a character that Daniel DeMille has created, and in this album it's quite a significant part too, because there are these sound clips throughout the album at the end of each track where this guy is talking about how MF Doom and Madlib are like the two of the illest villains ever. It actually adds quite a cool tone to the album, even if it does kind of sound a little cheesy and a little like kiddish with like the comic book type of theme going on, but it actually works so well. I think it adds this nice arc to the album that if it wasn't there it would feel a little empty, because these tracks are so short that they just go into one another quite effortlessly. But now I need to go back and talk about Madlib's beats, because these are some of the best I've ever heard in my life, to be honest. Honestly, I'm reminded of Jay Dilla's Donuts album in the way that each track kind of like has these samples just like fitting in together. Even though they sound a little weird and odd, they somehow work perfectly and they loop round and round, just like on this album too. The best example of that is the track Accordion, which is probably one of the best songs like ever made by either of these artists. Of course, it has an accordion that's used as a sample throughout this song, and it's something that you would never expect like in a hip-hop track, but of course it's really an interesting song because it works so well. And then on the opposite end of the scale we've got Raid, which is this really fast, peppy, jazzy instrumental track, which of course MF Doom rides so well, and it's really cool because we also have tracks like Rainbows, which is so much slower and smoother, and of course MF Doom still sounds great on that as well. And on Rainbows as well, we have a pretty good hook as well. Like MF Doom sings on this one, and although his singing vocals aren't particularly that good, it still makes for a really quite catchy hook as well. Hope they don't know. But I've got to give a mention to Stacey Epps on the track I, who does singing on the whole track, and her voice is so beautiful. It's very Erykah Badu, and on that instrumental it's just so perfect. I love this track, and I love the inclusion of it on this album as well. We also get a few features from Quasimoto, who is the alter ego of Madlib, and Quasimoto raps as well, and he's on the track America's Most Blunted, which is a pretty much weed anthem, talking about how weed is a strength for, you know, creativity, and there are actually no harmful effects. It's become one of the most well-known songs by Madvillain. Some people say it's overrated. I still think it's pretty damn good. And he's also on Shadows of Tomorrow as well. And I've always found Quasimoto's vocals kind of weird. Like Shadows of Tomorrow is it's kind of cool vocals, but you know, it's not really a highlight for me. I'm not a huge fan of the voice of Quasimoto, to be honest. But his rapping ability is pretty good. I'm not trying to take him down for that, but it's just a voice. It kind of is a bit of an irritation for me. One interesting track on this album is Curls, though, where MF Doom kind of goes introspective and talks about like his childhood. He's sort of out of his character, his MF Doom character at this point, because he's talking about how when he was really poor and kind of did anything to, you know, live and survive with his mum. This was back in his younger days, of course, and he's also referencing his drug use when he was younger too. And it seems as though he's not really scared of admitting that he used to do a lot of stealing to do anything to survive, basically. And I suppose this does fit his MF Doom character quite well, because he is a villain, so of course there are going to be villainous elements to it. But it's just interesting that this time it's kind of different, because it was in order to survive, and it was in order to, you know, have a good, healthy life with his mother when he was younger. So I suppose it's kind of like a weird track, because you sort of feel sympathy for MF Doom at this point, even though he is kind of like playing a villainous character. It's an interesting lyrical song, because I think it is one of the best on the album too, and of course it has another incredible instrumental from Madlib, but that just goes without saying at this point. And I suppose there's nothing else I can say that hasn't already been said about this album at this point. This is just an absolute masterpiece of a hip-hop release. Yeah, you know, if you've never heard this, then you really need to go listen to it, and you'll understand where the hype has come from. For me, it is an A-star, and I could pretty much listen to this all day, every day if I really wanted to, because it's just that good. And let me know what you think about this album. Tell me your favourite MF Doom album and your favourite Madlib album, if you've heard any others as well, because you should check out both of their discographies. MF Doom has pretty much released great album after great album over the years, so definitely check out other things as well. And that is the classic review over. Make sure you subscribe if you want more reviews every day, and also have a good day.